Most people think being broke means you buy less, that you miss out, that you go without. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Being broke doesn't mean you pay less. It means you pay more, often twice as much, sometimes for the exact same things. And the cruel part is this. The system charges you extra precisely when you can least afford it. This isn't about bad habits. It's not about discipline. And it's not about budgeting apps. It's about math. And once you see that math clearly, it becomes hard to unsee. Let's start with a normal situation. Nothing extreme. You're working full-time. You earn enough to get by. But there's no real margin. Your bank balance hovers near zero at the end of each month. Not because you're reckless, but because life keeps showing up on schedule. Rent, utilities, transportation, food. Everything arrives before your next paycheck does. This is where the math of being broke quietly begins. Take the most basic thing, housing. If you have savings, good credit, and flexibility, you get options. Lower interest rates, cheaper long-term costs, the ability to wait, negotiate, or walk away. If you don't, you pay a premium. Higher rent because you can't put down a deposit. Higher interest because your credit score reflects stress, not character. Shorter leases, fewer protections. Same apartment, different price. Over a decade, that difference alone can cost tens of thousands. Not because you chose poorly, because you arrived without leverage. Now let's talk about transportation. Someone with cash buys a used car outright. No interest, no monthly pressure. They drive it longer. They fix small problems early. Someone without savings? They finance. Long terms, high interest, payments that feel manageable month to month. But stretch a reasonable payment over 6 years, and the math gets ugly fast. You don't just pay for the car. You pay for time. You pay for risk. You pay for being early in line. Same destination, double the cost. Then there's food. Not groceries in theory. Groceries in reality. When money is tight, bulk buying disappears. Planning disappears. Flexibility disappears. You buy smaller quantities. More often, at worse prices. You rely on convenience because time is scarce and stress is high. The system calls that a choice. The math calls it a penalty. This pattern repeats everywhere. Utilities, phone plans, banking fees, insurance. The less margin you have, the more the system charges you for certainty. Late fees exist because timing matters. Interest exists because patience has a price. And patience is expensive when you don't have cash. Here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. Being broke isn't just a lack of money. It's a lack of time alignment. Your expenses demand money now. Your income arrives later. That gap is where fees live. Interest lives. Stress lives. And the system monetizes that gap relentlessly. Now zoom out. Society loves to talk about personal responsibility. Spend less. Plan better. Work harder. But responsibility doesn't change the math of compounding costs. If two people earn the same income, but one has savings and the other doesn't, they are not playing the same game. One pays wholesale. The other pays retail plus penalties. Over time, the gap widens quietly. Not explosively. Not dramatically. Just consistently. Here's a simple example. Two people need a $1,000 emergency. One has savings. They pay $1,000. The other doesn't. They use credit. At 20% interest minimum payments, stretched over time, that emergency can easily cost $1,300 or more. Same emergency, different math. Multiply that across years. That's how people fall behind while doing everything right. There's a quiet irony here. The system claims to reward responsibility. But it rewards existing stability far more. Once you're ahead, costs shrink. Once you're behind, costs grow. It's not moral. It's mechanical. This is why advice often feels insulting. Just save more. Save from what? From the extra rent, the higher interest, the constant fees. Saving is easier when the system isn't charging you for every mistake before you even make one. And this is where long-term damage sets in. Because paying more for basics means less money for the future. less investing, less education, less flexibility. So the gap doesn't just persist. It compounds. The people with margin get cheaper access to growth. The people without margin pay more just to stay in place. That's not a mindset issue. That's arithmetic. Over time, this creates something dangerous. People stop believing the system is fair. Or worse, they believe it's fair and assume the problem is them. Neither belief helps, because the truth is quieter. The math of being broke isn't punishment. It's friction. And friction turns small disadvantages into permanent ones if nothing interrupts it. So what's the bigger risk here? It's not just individual stress. It's a society where more people are paying more for less, while being told they should be grateful to participate. Where emergencies are profitable. Where stability is discounted. Where timing matters more than effort. That kind of system doesn't collapse loudly. It grinds. And here's the question worth sitting with. If being broke makes everything cost more, and costing more makes it harder to stop being broke, at what point does the math become the real problem, not the people trapped inside it? That's not an easy question, but it's one worth asking.